Welcome in live to the Dallas Cowboys Report by Chat Sports. I am Tom Downey. As training camp finally at long last underway for the Dallas Cowboys. We'll have some training camp takeaways to discuss later on in today's show. But there was, of course, the classic Cowboys late night move made last night. The signing of KaVontae Turpin, the 2022 USFL MVP. I want you guys to grade the signing right now in the comments section for me. This is the pinned poll on both Facebook and on YouTube. Grade it A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know in the comments section how you're feeling about the signing of KaVontae Turpin. A, B, C, D, or F. I'll give some shout-outs as these flow in as well. C from RBG369. Zeno says F. I see B, C, C, and F from Zeno. Interesting. D from Vladimir. B from Lawrence. C's mostly. A couple A's in there as well, which I see coming in. Let's see. The pin poll right now is 42. Wow, very nice, even descending aesthetic look here. 42% say A, 34% say B, 19% say C, and I got 6% saying D or F. Some super chats have come in. First up from Yi Kaw, our resident Cowboys and Ravens fan. He says, "Howdy, Tom. Who would your player comp for KaVontae Turpin be?" I think from like what you're expecting height weight wise, this is one of the smaller players in the NFL. We can go way back if we want to a Dree Archer. Remember him out of Kent State, second round pick from the Steelers. You could go more recent with like kind of a Calvin Austin type of player. I think from an impact perspective, maybe a lesser version of Tavon Austin, because that's kind of where I think we're at right now. Overall with Turpin. This is going to be, if he makes the roster, I think he's a real chance to, he's going to predominantly contribute on special teams, not so much as an actual receiver, but punt returner was a pretty big need for this organization. From Toxic Tom Downey burner account, we are up to multiple burner accounts now, producer Brett, by the way. Producer Jeremy's not in, it's producer Brett's turn. The OG's back.
No Eagles fans today.
Brett is a Cowboys fan. He says, so we signed a 5'9", 155-pound player with domestic violence issues. Yes, they did. It's not about the talent. If it wasn't for the off-the-field stuff, Turpin might have been drafted coming out of TCU. He at least would have had a shot before right now in the NFL. But the very real off-the-field issues and a bit of classic Cowboys form right now is why he's available. All right, our next question here. Will Zeke Elliott be on the Cowboys in 2023? I put the wrong date in there because I'm a dummy. 2023 will he be on the team next year for the Cowboys organization. Not the first time we've talked about this, but Zeke himself spoke about it as well. Y for yes, N for no. Yes, producer Brett?
I just want to say Zeno said no Jeremy slander.
Yeah, some of them like Jeremy. Not everyone does.
We like Jeremy.
Yeah.
So, no Jeremy slander.
There you go. Y for yes, and for no, I'll give some shout-outs here. It's always a pretty even split on this side. Dusty says yes, but Rob John and John, back-to-back, different users. Stuart Cannon, Bus714 say no. RBG says yes. Joseph Rodriguez, Anthony Alonzo, Lawrence Jewell say yes, as does Cooper Bowman. Vladimir says no. Bus says no. Mavis Homer Nelson says no. Chris Romero says no. Robert Jalen Boondock Saint say yes, but Dante Costa says no. A super chat now from Boss Fan Matt. I like that name. That's a good one. Does our offense suck? O-line question marks, receiver question marks. In your opinion, most likely offensive outcome. I know it didn't feel like that, and it certainly wasn't how they played down the stretch. Statistically, the Cowboys are the best offense in the NFL last year, which is not the way it felt like at all, and that's not my expectation for this team. I think they should still be a top 10 unit. Otherwise, there are some real concerns there. The defense has mostly won so far in training camp, which shouldn't be a huge surprise. Early on, things do tend to favor the defensive side of the football, and they're only doing really 2-minute drills right now anyway, so it's a little bit more obvious what's going to come. I am a bit worried about the offense and the wide receiver offensive line, the wide receiver depth. as we've said before, despite what the Cowboys might tell you, they did not get better, at least on paper. Now, the defense was a playmaking machine overall last year. Tons of interceptions, which, historically speaking, takeaways tend to regress after you lead the NFL in takeaways. It's a matter of how much they regress and if they're just better getting off the field on third downs than what they were last year. So how many interceptions will Trevon Diggs have in 2022? Sound off for me in the comments section here. I see 7, 10, 6, 8, 3 from Wentz. That actually might be pretty accurate. 7, 8, 5 at worst, 10, 5, 6, 7, 6, 7, 8, and 1,000 from Jalen.
Only one person, Alan Williams, says 12.
Which is what Diggs said.
Higher.
Diggs says he wants more interceptions this year.
Thomas says 13.
There you go, 10, 12, 13 from Allen and Thomas, and then there's some 69s coming in. Nice. Diggs says he wants more. I cannot recall the last time somebody had back-to-back years of double-digit INTs. There's only been, I think, 4 in the last 50 who have put up back-to-back years of at least 8 interceptions. So pretty small number there. Let's talk Dak Prescott, since I believe there was it was not a super chat. It was just a normal hashtag Cowboys question. But percent chance Dak wins NFL MVP this year. He should have at least a chance, and he was playing like one in the first half of the year. Then the calf strain, then the offensive line forgot how to do its job, and Zeke had the PCL tear, and everything on the offense wasn't quite clicking the way it needed to. So what's the percent chance Dak wins MVP? You guys always come in too high on these things. You should come in super low. It's really hard to win MVP. I see anywhere from 85% from Dusty. If there's an 85% chance Dak wins MVP, I'll put some money on the Cowboys win the Super Bowl this year. 50%, 25%, 15, 5, 25, 65, 50, 51, 2.3, 45, 5, 60, 10, 45, 25, 60, 65, 10. So, as expected, a little bit all over the map on that front. From Degoated, we are up, by the way, to $22 in Super Chats. If we hit 69, we'll do shots again. You want to do producer Brett down? He'll do some shots, too.
Hey, it's been a party this week at Chat Sports, so got to keep it here on the Cowboys
Report. It really
Report.
has been. 69 in Super Chats, and we'll do some shots. From Degoated, what's going on with Debo and DK? We have to replace Amari. I think your Amari replacement is CeeDee Lamb, and then your questionable CeeDee Lamb replacement is maybe Gallup, and then Gallup's replacement is, oh, no, he's hurt. And that's the issue you run into right now. Hopefully Tolbert. Do not get your hopes up for Deebo Samuel or DK Metcalf. Allegedly, the Niners are close to a deal on Deebo. We'll see if and when that goes down, and I think the Seahawks will end up paying DK Metcalf as well. Pick a left guard here for me. TS for Tyler Smith or CM for Connor McGovern. We're going to break down this ongoing camp battle here as part of today's live show, as McGovern got the start, quote-unquote, at left guard, and then Tyler Smith did rotate, which feels important. Hello, Producer Brett.
I mean, left guard means a lot to those Dak Prescott MVP odds.
It's true, it does.
Dak currently tied for 8th, plus 2,000.
Which feels about right-ish.
Yeah.
About right.
That's probably about right.
Not the favorite. Maybe if they'd ended the year better, they'd be a little bit higher on those odds from that standpoint there.
Those odds are Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Herbert, Rodgers, and Brady, Burrow, Russell Wilson, and then Matt Stafford and Dak Prescott.
That seems pretty fair to me. The hope for me, at least, on the left guard battle, as we'll get into more in depth, is your first-round pick should be starting for you, especially when your team claimed he was a top 16 player on their board. I do think he ends up winning the job in the end. Now, in terms of non-football conversation, we're having the first-ever Chat Sports Open on the links this Friday, and there's a potential battle brewing between myself and producer Brett, who I play more than Brett. But Brett's better than me, objectively speaking, since you play never and consistently shoot pretty damn low scores.
We'll see.
I've been playing pretty well as of late.
It's a course I've never played.
It's true.
There's a lot of water on this course.
There is wetter in play. So the challenge of this course is not like the greens or the approach shots. I don't think it's off the tee. If you're in the fairway,
that bodes okay for me.
And it doesn't bode great for me, because if I'm driving it well, then I have a chance to go low. If I'm not driving it well, we could easily shoot 80, 85, which would you would win, I think, by a couple shots at that point.
Let's get this quick super chat here, Tom.
So who will win our golf match? TD for me or BS for Brett Scott? It's not going to be Jeremy Chuggs, by the way. I promise you.
You got to type BS just for the sake of it.
It is fun there.
All
right,
quick from
Lawrence Jewell, a $5 super chat. This is about Trevon Diggs, by the way. I'd be okay with less INTs from Diggs if he does better not giving up the big play. I think that's the likely balance you'll see happen this year, in the sense that Diggs probably won't get 11 interceptions. He also probably won't end up in a situation where he gets beat on a 5-yard slant. He misses a tackle. 3 other guys do too. And now Deontay Hardy's taking it 80 yards for a score, and Diggs gets dinged for an 80-yard touchdown, even though it wasn't all his fault. Now, if you want us to get today's show started, show it by liking the video right now. Almost 300 people watching live right now. We don't even have 50 likes. That's a pretty embarrassing standpoint from that one there. By the way, Jimmy Productions, I do see your super chat. We will get to that during the Q&A portion of today's show. But remember, help us out. Tell YouTube that you like what we're doing by liking today's live show right now. Here's what's coming up on today's live Dallas Cowboys report. News and rumors, the roster moves involving KaVontae Turpin and Nick Ralston, a Cowboys mailbag, 2 ways on the show. Super chat like Jimmy Productions just did, and Boss Fan Matt and Toxic Tom Downey, Yeecaw, and DeGoat and everyone else. Or use hashtag Cowboys in the comments section. That'll get you in the queue, but you are at the mercy of producer Brett actually picking your question. We've got some early training camp takeaways, 2 practices now in the books, and on Cowboys Report After Hours exclusively on Rumble. We've got some Cowboys trade ideas coming at you. All right now live here on the Cowboys Report. Today's Dallas Cowboys Report is sponsored by Mint Mobile. They offer plans starting at just $15 a month, and you don't have to sacrifice any of your coverage, data, or speed on your cell phone plan when you make the switch over to Mint Mobile. It's mintmobile.com/chatsports. That link's in the comments section and in the description of today's video. There is some news to break down beginning today's show. Nick Ralston is no longer a member of the Cowboys. He has joined the ranks of the Cowboys legends. He was cut by the Cowboys on Thursday, 1 day into training camp, which always feels so brutal. His release was to make move for KaVontae Turpin. More on that in a second. It is, at least for me, a little bit of a surprise move. Ralston, as a practice squad promotion guy, did spend some time on the roster last year. The Cowboys have already cut Jaquan Hardy, and they are thinner than they normally are at camp at the running back spot, although they'll be fine. Rico Dowdle's healthy. They sign Ryan Nall, and they have UDFA's Aaron Shamklin and Malik Davis on the roster at this point. So Ralston's time is done as a member of the Dallas Cowboys. I suppose he could potentially come back down the road, but at least for the time being, he has been released by the organization to make room for KaVontae Turpin, the USFL MVP. So what's your one-word reaction to the cutting of Nick Ralston? Surprise was actually mine. I didn't think he was going to make the 53, but I thought he had a better chance than some of the guys still on there. So sound off for me. One-word reaction to the release of Nick Ralston. Now, if you have your notifications turned on, you know what happened late last night. KaVontae Turpin signs with the Dallas Cowboys. This move was made official earlier today. It was reported initially late Wednesday night. And I do think Turpin has a very real chance to earn a roster spot despite the off-the-field stuff, thanks to special teams abilities. And we broke that down in depth. Nice little 10-minute at-home video for you guys last night, which you know that we at the Cowboys Report had that video out before others may have claimed to break the news. So make sure those notifications are turned on to all, not personalized, all. Click the bell, change it, and don't miss out on anything right here at the Cowboys Report. Let's get into some rumors here. Beginning with one, Zeke Elliott, speaking to media, says he doesn't feel any contract pressure entering what could potentially be his final year with the Cowboys. Who am I to call Zeke a liar? I'll give it 3 stars. I believe that's probably true. I think maybe he'd be lying to himself. He didn't at least think about it a little bit at the back of his mind. Elliott is in what I call the we'll wait and see contract stage, where the Cowboys have the out. It's the Amari Cooper, Tank Lawrence deal from last year, where they could have restructured his contract. They chose not to do so. Cowboys have an out after this year. And even though Mike McCarthy may have called Zeke a quote-unquote cornerstone player, that doesn't mean he's a lock to be around after this year. Here's what Zeke said. I think it's a big season, but I think you can't look too far down the road. I think if I focus on every day, if I focus on having a good camp, if I focus on taking it week by week, I think everything will handle itself. And I don't think there's really a reason to look that far down the road. I think if I handle my business every day, then I'll be in a pretty good spot at the end of the season. For the first time, the Cowboys did not play around with Zeke's contract and cap hit. He's counting over $18 million on the salary cap this year. That's a massive figure to pay for any running back, especially one who's battled some injuries in recent times. So because of that, the Cowboys have left themselves an out. If Elliott does not wow, if he does not impress, things are in a little bit of a tricky spot. The Cowboys have the ability to cut him. And although Zeke was playing great before that PCL tear, which the Cowboys said he wasn't hurt, even though he ended up being hurt on that standpoint, and they lied about it for reasons that I don't fully understand, when healthy, Elliott's been pretty good outside of a bad 2020 campaign, which I think we can blame the offensive line for. At the same time, I am worried about the injuries. He's been banged up a lot over the years. That should, and does for me at least, raise some potentially significant red flags long term. So make your predictions for me. Will Zeke be on the Cowboys in 2023? Type in Y for yes, or you can type in N for no in the comment section. It is a future Cowboys problem, but one we'll discuss a little bit right now. The Cowboys, after all, would save a lot of money if they chose to move on from Ezekiel Elliott. And if you want to save a lot of money, it's time to make the move on over to Mint Mobile. They have unlimited talk and text, high-speed data and data on the largest 5G network for plans starting as low as $15 a month. It is, again, on the largest 5G network. And if you're like me, yeah, inflation sucks. It's not ideal for anybody, but Mint Mobile is helping you out by keeping those cell phone plan coverage plans low. $15 a month, that's why I made the switch, and you should too. mintmobile.com/chatsports. I'll put that link in the comment section and in the description of today's video. If you're like me, you're trying to save money as best as possible, and you don't have to sacrifice any of your speed, coverage, or data by making the switch. So what are you waiting for? Head over mintmobile.com/chatsports. Let's talk free agency now with, the Cowboys did something on Wednesday night. No more complaining is what Stephen Jones would probably say. But are they out now on Anthony Barr? 2 stars, maybe. We know by now the Cowboys have had interest in Anthony Barr at some level, but the latest update from Calvin Watkins is, maybe not so much anymore. Here's what he tweeted out July 25th. Cowboys have had a summer-long interest in free agent Anthony Barr, but multiple sources said no plans to sign him at this stage. I think the at this stage part of that matters a lot because, A, if they had plans before this stage, I feel like he would have already been signed. There's a lot going on in terms of why I don't think Barr has signed anywhere, but especially with the Dallas Cowboys. We talked about this a little bit in the past, but let's break it down in depth right now. Why could they potentially pass on Anthony Barr? 3 reasons. Number 1, the alleged contract demands for Anthony Barr, who reportedly wanted $11 million per year. No one's paying him that. Not that injury level, not that level of play. That doesn't make any sense at this point for Anthony Barr. Of course, that was a no. And in part because of number 2 on this list. The injury history is a red flag. He's missed a lot of time over the past couple years. And on top of that, the knee is apparently a red flag to teams. That came out of Minnesota last week, by the way. So those are 2 big reasons why maybe nobody has signed Anthony Barr. For the Cowboys specifically, in training camp, you want to see what your young guys can do. And I'm thinking back to what happened last year. The Cowboys brought on a bunch of new safeties. They had Donovan Wilson. They signed DeMonte Casey. They got through a couple weeks, I think it was 2 weeks, whatever it was, of training camp. And then they signed Malik Hooker. And I wonder if there is a chance, at least, of something similar happening at linebacker. Obviously, you got Micah Parsons as your hybrid pass rusher, edge extraordinaire, linebacker, off-ball guy. Tons of options from that standpoint there. You were hoping on a Jabril Cox breakout, hashtag Cox out. Luke Gifford is a mainly special teams player. Devin Harper, Aaron Hansford's on the PUP list right now. Story Jackson, Malik Jefferson, those guys are total unknowns. So you could have a situation where you're not quite feeling confident in your linebacker room. And if that's the case, you could revisit Anthony Barr and see what the contract demands are at that point. So be honest with me. What is the percent chance Dallas ends up signing Anthony Barr? It often ends up being low because, well, this is the Cowboys in the 2022 offseason. They haven't done very much on that standpoint. Make your predictions for me, though, in the comments section. Let's talk Michael Gallup right now. Is he on track in his rehab? I do believe this is the case. I mean, he's been out there working on the cords with the training staff without any knee brace. But it is 4 stars that he does appear to be heading in the correct direction. He will not be ready for week 1. He did say that today, that it's just not a realistic possibility, which certainly isn't a surprise. We've all known he was going to miss at least some type of time. The Cowboys did pay Gallup in the offseason, and they are banking on him making a big impact, not just long-term, but this year too. The Cowboys' goal right now is to keep him off the reserve PUP list. Right now, he's on the active, a.k.a. preseason PUP list. If he goes on to the regular season one, the reserve one, he has to miss at least 4 games. I think their goal, their hope right now is, how about week 3 against the Giants on Monday Night Football? That could be, I think it is, your over-under timeline as to when Gallup could return. Could be earlier, probably pushing a bit too much there. Could be later, which is okay from that standpoint. But without Gallup, it's not as bad as the Cole Beasley-led receiving core with Allen Hurns and Deontay Thompson and a bunch of guys out of the NFL already, because you have CeeDee Lamb. But you're banking on Jalen Tolbert and James Washington, and a third-round rookie and a guy who flamed out in Pittsburgh isn't always the route you want to end up going, as far as I'm concerned. So it is a hopeful sooner than later for that standpoint for Gallup, but I do think some patience is going to be needed here at least a little bit. We are long overdue hitting the 130,000 subscriber mark. Producer Brett's giving me the disapproving dad head nod on that one. So help us out. Help us get there as we continue to grow the #1 Cowboys YouTube channel right here on the Cowboys Report. If you haven't already, hit that big red button and subscribe. It's youtube.com/CowboysTV. Let's talk Trevon Diggs now. Is this a critical year for him? A lot of this depends on defining critical, so I'm going to give it 3 stars because it's not critical in the sense of, well, if he's bad, he's going to get cut. That's not what we're saying. But it is critical for his bank account. ESPN looked at some players and coaches with the most at stake this year. That could be their futures, that could be their job status, whatever. But for Diggs, it related more to the contract extension standpoint. Because if he balls out, it's going to be a big one. Here's what Bill Barnwell of ESPN wrote. It has become too trendy and simplistic to suggest that Diggs' value is muted altogether by the yardage he allows in coverage. But it's also fair to wonder what happens if he doesn't continue to intercept passes at a historic rate. If Diggs can't pick off as many passes this season, he'll need to be better in coverage to compensate. If he manages to repeat his double-digit totals from 2021, though, he could be looking at a record cornerback contract next March. That would also require the Cowboys to be proactive, so who knows. But how many interceptions will Diggs have this season? Make your predictions for me right now in the comments section. 11 last year. Is he coming above or below that figure? Diggs did allow a lot of yards last year. It's also fair to point out that, some of those plays where the safety misplayed it and Diggs got dinged because it was his man after all, relative speaking in man and single high coverage, etc., blah, blah, blah. He also picked off 11 interceptions. That's a freaking insane amount of picks to have. it is reasonable to expect fewer INTs and, frankly, fewer takeaways across the board from the Cowboys. That is natural regression to the mean. But it also likely will result in fewer big plays. At some point, teams will stop throwing at Trevon Diggs quite as frequently. Maybe that happens this year. Maybe it doesn't. But I do think that's the likely path we're on here. So I am not expecting a 10 INT season. But if he puts up 6 and gets the yardage down, I think we should all still be very happy with the play out of Trevon Diggs, if that is how things end up going this season. All right, some super chats we'll get to as well for the mailbag. But our question here, grade the signing of KaVontae Turpin. This is the live poll right now, the pinned one on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. I do see my boy Sack77 on the Rumble side here. A, B, C, D, or F. I think the negative ones come in for 2 reasons. A, the off the field, which is perfectly valid. And B, the lack of actual sexy moves the Cowboys. But remember, Stephen Jones said, that they've won off seasons before, and that got them nowhere, which it's not. Remind me what off season that was there, Stephen. Anyway, get your votes in for the pin poll, A, B, C, D, or F. Stephen lies to our faces and hope we're just going to believe him. 35% A and 35% B. So the vast majority there, 25% say C, and then 5% say D or F. By the narrowest of margins, A does have the lead, by the way, over B. Now, if you have a question for me to answer on today's mailbag, there are 2 ways to get on the show. You can super chat like Jimmy Productions did, or you can use hashtag Cowboys and get in the queue here. Hold on. Needed to get some water there before my throat dries out too much. Hashtag Cowboys or super chat to skip the line altogether. If you use hashtag Cowboys, you're at the mercy of producer Brett picking your questions. He is a Cowboys fan, though, unlike producer Jeremy. After today's live show wraps up, we will be live exclusively on Rumble, on the Cowboys Report on Rumble for After Hours. We got some trade ideas from Bleacher Report we're going to break down there. So make sure you're following us on Rumble, rumble.com/Cowboys TV. The link to the live stream will be in the comments section, and it will be in the description of today's show as well. You're watching the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey here once again with one of our live mailbags, answering your questions as they come in on the show. A super chat to begin from Jimmy Productions. Do you think if we sign Cole Beasley or Emmanuel Sanders, our receiving core is good? Maybe you feel a bit more confident in terms of some of the lower-end outcomes. I also don't know how much better that makes your top-end outcomes, right? Like, both those guys are old vets. I would actually prefer Sanders now that you've got KaVontae Turpin to maybe your punt returner, but there's also an outcome in which Sanders is maybe wide receiver 4 on this team right now, and that doesn't really move the needle at all. Another one from Jimmy Productions here. I really like the KaVontae Turpin pickup. I think he could be our 3rd receiver and be what Michael Gallup has been. I think he is better than James Washington. I think we have to adjust our expectations. I'm fine with what Turpin brings you on special teams. Even Mike McCarthy said that's going to be his job and his goal on the roster is to contribute in that area, to be a return, maybe on both punts and kicks, by the way. But he doesn't play like Michael Gallup. This is a 5'9", 155-pound receiver. This is not somebody who's going to drastically contribute as a receiver. Maybe some slot reps and maybe a gimmick player, but I don't know if he's going to be better than Washington. I don't think he's going to be better than Tolbert. So I think if he's receiver 5, you're probably happy with that outcome. We do have some super thanks to get to as well. First up from Tyler Parrott. So Tampa, with weapons galore, saw fit to bring in Julio Jones, even though now he's just another guy. Yet we refuse to burn up less than $10 million of our $20+ million worth of cap space to add another established veteran on a 1-year deal at receiver, running back, linebacker, center, or defensive line. Tyler, by the way, continued with, frankly, I'm sick of this. When the East is not good enough, we're not good enough. What am I missing? Nothing. I think you're right, Tyler. This is how the Cowboys front office chooses to do business. Here's what's going to happen. They might add a player or two with some of that salary cap space, but they're going to roll over the vast majority of it to next year. And they're going to pair it we got to pay CeeDee Lamb, we got to pay Trevon Diggs. They're going to drag their feet on those deals, pay those guys more because that's how Stephen has run things for years now. And then they're going to have the gall to say, well, we got that Micah Parsons deal coming up too, even though you can't pay Micah for at least 2 years. They're going to roll that salary cap space over. It's going to happen, and then they'll blame the pie taken up by various players as the reasoning why, even though other teams have shown the salary cap can be manipulated. So with that in mind, what is your confidence level in the Cowboys front office? Scale it 1 to 100. 1 being you have almost no confidence. They are frauds at the highest order. 100 being I think they're going to be an elite group and you trust them implicitly. This is the pinned comment on today's show, so if the ad break comes on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. From Mark, some more frustration here, and I get it. What frustrates me as a fan, we only have 7 players or so that would start on 80% of teams. We have $23 million in salary cap space. Where is all the money going? Now we have 20 great players to sign. I do think you have more than 7 players who would start on most NFL teams. Brett's doing the math right now in his head, so I'll let him do it. He's got at least 8 already. I think you're higher than that. I still, if we're talking 80%, so we're saying what, top 10-ish player at their position and top 20 depending on how many guys you start there. I've got Lamb. I've got maybe Gallup. I'm not going to count him though for these purposes. Smith, Martin, Schultz, Dak. They can still argue Zeke's top 10 back, by the way. Tank Lawrence, probably not Osen, though he's a good starter. Parsons, Diggs, and I might throw Jaron Kearse in that mix. And I don't think he's top 80%, but Anthony Brown's a good player. You're talking about top-end guys. You maybe dealt one of those guys away in Amari Cooper. But you're right. There is all that cap space. Where's the money going? They're going to kick the can down the road. And in 2 years, by the way, my friends, they will be among the lower ones in active cap spending. Just wait. From Corey, just want to say I really appreciate you, Tom. I'm sure I speak for a lot of us. Videos every day is a lot of work. Thank you, Corey. This is my day job. I appreciate you watching. So help me feed my family by making sure you guys are subscribed here to the Dallas Cowboys Report for, just like Corey mentioned, daily videos on everything going on around the Dallas Cowboys. So if you haven't already, hit that big red button and subscribe. You can also follow us, by the way, on Rumble. We have Cowboys Report after hours following our live shows like this one right now. So make sure you're following us, rumble.com/CowboysTV. From Degoted, as we hit the $69 amount in Super Chats, shots coming up later. I see Tony Pollard as a Miles Sanders. Super fast, but shouldn't be a starter. I think he would get hurt easily. What's your take, Tom? I push back against some of the Tony Pollard isn't big enough for the Cowboys or isn't consistent enough. I mean, his touches last year were, 169. That's a pretty decent amount of touches. So I don't think he can be a Derrick Henry workload guy. I think he's more of a 1A, 1B in a rotation. But he's too good to not get the ball in his hands. So whether we say starter, rotation, playmaker, whatever, I'm fine with that. Again, he's not Derrick Henry. He's not prime Zeke from a workload standpoint, but he can get you 180 touches a year. I don't see why not, if not more. From Jimmy Productions, I would be a great GM. I actually would sign and go after big-name free agents, and I wouldn't be afraid to overpay. I'll also trade for good players. It is that simple. Maybe if the Cowboys ever give me ownership and my 10-year plan or I sell comes to fruition, we can go from there, my friend. Maybe I'll see if you become GM. From Randy, I thought we learned from the Hardy signing. Now we're signing women beaters not once but twice. That is both Josh Ball and it is the latest one of KaVontae Turpin. I mean, it's what they do. I don't like it. I know you don't like it. I hope it doesn't rear its ugly head, but we also can't say we didn't warn the Cowboys what might happen. What might happen. Jimmy Productions feeling down bad today. The truth is that the Eagles are a better team. I think overall, roster-wise, yes. The one big difference is the quarterback. Dak Prescott versus Hurts. If the Eagles had Hurts, I think nationally they'd be talked about as one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl, at least make it to the Super Bowl out of the NFC. Like that roster overall, really good. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, the best offensive line in football. Really good defensive players minus, maybe linebacker overall. On paper, yes, quarterback is the big gap there right now. A super thanks from Timothy, by the way. He says, any thoughts on signing potential 2023 free agents? No Catboy thoughts, only GM Tom thoughts. Okay. Your big guys internally are Dalton Schultz, Tony Pollard. I don't think I want to pay the premium for Dalton Schultz, so I might look at a cheaper option. Maybe even a Mike Gesicki from that team, who's not a great blocker as far as I'm concerned there. Tony Pollard, one of your other big internal guys from that standpoint there. Outside free agents. I would love to break the bank on Jesse Bates. I think that'd be fun. You're going to use multiple safety sets with Hurst and Hooker, who those guys aren't always healthy, by the way. Maybe some more realistic names to at least keep in mind from that standpoint here. How about Juan Thornhill, my boy, who I've loved for a very long time here. I would love Juan Thornhill in Dallas. I will push that campaign again if I need to. And how about offensively? How about Eric McCoy, the center? He's a free agent. Saints may or may not bring him back. And if you want to dump Biotish, that'd be a big upgrade. So those are some names that maybe could make some sense there. Some other super thanks shout-outs to get to. Mighty Ant 0215 and Daniel Gannis. Thank you guys so much for your super thanks. Remember, if you're watching on demand, i.e. outside of a live video, we've got plenty of options for you guys. Thanks to YouTube's introduction of super thanks. You can now donate outside of live videos. Click the thanks icon. You kind of see the icon over there, right? The heart with the dollar sign in the middle of it. We appreciate your support. If you do a super thanks, we will give you a shout out on a show. A big thanks to everyone who's already done so. From Ruben, player or players the Cowboys can sign now? I think they're going to wait. They brought in two of the guys they worked out, Malik Jefferson and Turpin, signed them both. I think they will wait and see how things look in camp. Give it a week or two, and if there's a bad spot or an injury, then maybe they could start to make some change there from that standpoint. So just keep an eye on it moving forward here. Zeno's saying, who's better, Jeremy or Tom in Madden, just for fun? Well, Jeremy's not here, although I do think he's better at Madden. I would smoke him in NCAA 14, though. I have no doubts about that. From next up here, from Hunter Floyd, sign D Ford. He just got released. So Ford did get released, and I've seen DMs and Twitter questions, so I'm not surprised to get one here. Ford is injured all the time. The number one ability is availability, and that's been a key harping point this offseason for the Dallas Cowboys. And their approach has been, maybe not from that standpoint. We want guys who are out there. And D Ford's game is not being healthy. He's played, I think, in 7 games the past 2 years. When he's healthy, he's normally pretty good. But I don't know if he's ever going to be healthy again, and that's a pretty big red flag. Now, if the Cowboys do sign somebody like D Ford, we'll break it down for you here on the Dallas Cowboys Report. Hit that big red button and subscribe for free videos. Sometimes, multiple times a day, you had the 2 videos on Wednesday thanks to the KaVontae Turpin signing. And if you want to be a part of the mailbags, then you got to be subscribed. Hit that big red button right now. From Jimmy Productions, who are some wide receivers we could draft in 2023? So a lot of this depends on how things get played out in terms of your current core. You've re-signed Michael Gallup. You have Silemu in theory. It's going to be your wide receiver 1. And you drafted Jalen Tolbert in the 3rd round. In the event one of those guys are bad, then you could reconsider from that standpoint. And maybe you go all out for a Quentin Johnson would be a fun fit out of TCU, give you some better size there. Jordan Addison, if he slides. Josh Downs, undersized, but gives you the speed you don't really have. If you're going to wait a little bit, I wouldn't mind a Tyler Harrell. The Louisville, Alabama transfer brings you speed, which, again, you don't really have right now. Maryland's got some good receivers. Stop if you've ever heard this before. It's going to be a good receiver class, so there will be options for the Cowboys if they want to go that route. I would say maybe tight end, better spot to watch. From John Jacob Jingly Smith, fun fact, that was Brett's name, and then he changed it because of all the people shouting when he went out. Trade for a Bucs wide receiver. I actually like this idea a lot. Yeah, you're very confused by that one. I made a good joke there on the fly. You don't get it. Yeah, I'll tell you later. Trade for a Bucs wide receiver. The Bucs have, as we sit right now, and I'm estimating here, all of the wide receivers on their roster. They have Mike Evans. They have Chris Godwin. They signed Russell Gage, Julio Jones. Brashad Perryman's on this team. They spent draft picks on Jalen Darden, Scotty Miller, and Tyler Johnson. They are legitimately 8 deep at receiver. They're not going to carry more than 7 at most, and it's probably more like 6. So these 3 guys, Darden, Miller, Johnson, I think are available. So I would have interest in making a potential move to go out and acquire one of those 3 guys. The addition of KaVontae Turpin, I think, could impact that. Maybe you have more interest in Tyler Johnson and Jalen Darden, since Darden would have been a great punt returner for you potentially. But I think one of Johnson or Miller gets cut. So if you want another receiver option, yes, I would call the Bucs about trading for one of those guys. Now, speaking of trades, I want you to name a player who you want to trade for. Drop a name or names, just be realistic, in the comments section. All right, Brett was confused. His name was John Jacob Jingly Smith, as in Jonathan Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt.
Yeah, I got that.
So I said it was your name, but you changed it because of all the people shouting when you went out, which is how the song goes. Have you heard of that before?
Nerd alert.
That's not a nerd thing. That's just knowing it. I don't know what else to call it there.
I
Anyway,
don't know the song.
Okay, that's fair then. Maybe I'll send it to you. Yeah. We will be live. Speaking of trades, by the way, after today's show wraps up exclusively on Rumble for Cowboys Report After Hours. We'll get that link in the live chat for you guys here as well. We got some trade ideas from Bleacher Report that we're going to break down. Well, ideas in quotes. They didn't do the trade details, which I'm always disappointed by. So I did them instead. Super chat here from my boy Mark. Says, aloha, Tom. How is the family? And Philadelphia sucks, Jeremy. Jeremy's not here today. Producer Brett is, and we're going to get our shot set up here since we did hit $69 in super chats, by the way.
Jeremy sucks!
Oh, you yell at me for breaking the laptop, and then you spill on it.
Anything. Spilling is different, but it's a party because we crossed 69 in super.
Woo! A little strong there, Brett.
No,
Might need a napkin at some point, but we're good. Family's doing well. Olivia finally has had a tooth breakthrough at last. Thought it was going to come a little bit earlier because she was crying like there certainly was one. But tooth has busted through, and she is crawling and climbing everywhere. So that's been entertaining from that standpoint. Another super chat here from Jimmy. This is the MVP so far today. Great point, Brett. He's had a lot of super chats. Thanks, Jimmy. Best Jimmy I know. Should I go to the Cowboys versus Chargers game in the preseason or Cowboys versus Rams regular season game? Think about the price. Well, he says think about the price. I feel like the price for that Cowboys-Rams game is going to be expensive.
Yeah,
if you're just trying
the Chargers game, you're not seeing anything.
If you're just trying to save money, then obviously go to the Cowboys-Chargers game. But if you want to go to a good game, go to the Cowboys-Rams one. That one will be a premier game in the NFL calendar this year. Speaking, by the way, of the preseason, how many of the 3 preseason games will you watch this year? We will, by the way, be live for all 3 of them, doing our Cowboys Report watch parties. Have some fun. We'll do some more shots, play some drinking games, and enjoy it across the way there. As I try very hard to know those names at the back end of the roster, and the first game's always the toughest because the jersey numbers change more than ever this year, and that makes it very difficult to properly pull off here. Some more super chats coming in. We'll hit these, and if we get to 100, I'll do another shot before today's show wraps up. Only 18 away. You're right there. If DiNucci wins quarterback 3, will you drink canned corn juice? First off, that sounds disgusting. By the way, on my flight back home from Cincinnati, or back to home from Cincinnati, they gave us fried corn instead of like pretzels or peanuts. They gave us
What do you mean dried corn?
but it was like dried fried corn kernels. I refused to eat it. That sounded disgusting. Like, just give me my peanuts or my pretzels.
Well, everybody has allergies.
Or those cookies. Not corn. There's already enough corn in the stuff that I eat overall. I don't need more.
A lot of people have allergies to corn, too.
That's exactly right. All right, Jack Kelly.
I don't actually know if it is.
I mean, who knows? Jack Kelly, also the coolest Jack that I know. Has Tyler Smith lost weight, good or bad? We're actually about to break that down as part of our Cowboys Training Camp takeaways. It is, in a way, best shape of life season. I will say without teasing too much and giving it away here, he does look lighter overall from that standpoint. He doesn't quite look the same weight that he did even the last time we saw him at OTAs. It looks like he has shed a little bit of weight. But we'll break that down here in depth coming up right now on the Cowboys Report. Today's Dallas Cowboys Report is sponsored by Mint Mobile. They are changing the game in cell phone plan coverage with plans starting as low as $15 a month. And it runs the largest 5G network, so you're not sacrificing coverage, speed, or data. Make the switch today like I did over at mintmobile.com/chatsports. That link is in the comments section and the description of today's show. Today's video is a look at some Cowboys Training Camp takeaways. Early edition. We've only got 2 days of practice so far. Third one coming up on Friday. So it's early, but some notes I want to get into. First up is the left guard battle. Connor McGovern versus Tyler Smith. Obviously, everyone cares about Tyler Smith, the first-round pick. Is he the starter? Well, much like minicamp OTAs, McGovern got reps with the ones to start. And then Smith got some reps with the ones. And oh, by the way, Tyler Smith is looking a little thin. He's Slim Smith. There we go. We can call him that. Slim Tyler. Slim Shady somehow mixed in there. He does look thinner than what we saw at minicamp and at OTAs. I don't think too thin. I mean, even for a guy as big as like Tyrant, he's always looked a little bit thin. I would say keep an eye on how the strength looks. So that was a positive part of his game. But Smith spent June and July working with Duke Manyweather, maybe the preeminent offensive line coach in the offseason. That's a really good sign as far as I'm concerned. And that's exactly what I want my linemen doing, working with Duke Manyweather. He's very good at what he does. So promising early thoughts and sounds and reports out of Tyler Smith. I think by the time it gets to week 1, he will be your starter at left guard. And frankly, I would be concerned if he wasn't. That would say to me that something bad happened on that standpoint. But I want you guys to make your predictions. Week 1 starter, who is it? TS for Tyler Smith or CM for Connor McGovern? Those are your 2 options right now, the only 2 options on the roster at this point. So let me know in the comments section. I feel like this could almost be a daily takeaway. Micah Parsons is cooking all of the offensive linemen. He beat both Terrence Steele and Tyron Smith on day 1, and then beat Terrence Steele a few times on day 2. We'll call them possible sacks since, it's drills, it's 7 on set, it's 11 on 11. There's no actual tackling, so we'll have the possible, insurance caveat from that standpoint there. But his burst looks as good as it's ever been. He looks like the exact guy we saw dominate the NFL as a first-year player. There are no concerns, as far as I'm concerned, with Micah Parsons. So with that in mind, our pinned question of the day. How many sacks will Micah Parsons have in 2022? Is he going to exceed what he had last year? Can he approach the 20 number he wants? This is the pinned comment, so if you get an ad break here on YouTube, it's actually perfect timing. Head down to that pinned comment and make your sack predictions for Micah Parsons right there. This is also part of the nature of training camp. The good, the bad. Parsons looks great. Oh my God, that means Terrence Steele sucks. Not necessarily. Parsons cooks everybody, but Steele has been beat at points a little bit more frequently than what you would like to see, even if we all are basing it on training camp videos and whatnot. Still got beat by Parsons and Tristan Hill on day 1. Beat by Parsons again a couple times on day 2. Was also much better in the 2-minute drill, especially on day 1. So up and down, which to be fair, isn't that what we expect? Wouldn't we expect Micah Parsons to beat up on Terrence Steele because that's a top 5 defensive player versus a not top 5 right tackle in the NFL? This is one of those hopefully iron sharpens iron, coaching staff lines about how Steele will get better playing against Parsons. I think the preseason is what to keep an eye out for. He took a massive jump from year 1 to year 2. Hopefully something similar coming in year 3. So what is your confidence level in Terrence Steele? 1 to 100. 1 being you miss Lyle Collins, who's currently on the PUP list in Cincinnati. 100 being he's going to be, the next Eric Williams or something crazy. Get those answers in for me in the comment section. I would rate Mint Mobile 100 for myself. They have unlimited premium wireless with plans starting at just $15 a month, and you're not sacrificing anything when you make the switch. They have unlimited talk and text, high-speed data that runs on the largest 5G network, and everything was super easy in terms of their transition thanks to their eSIM cards. You don't have to go to a store and spend your entire day waiting around for some alleged genius to fix things for you. No. Do it all from the comfort of your own home. Head over to mintmobile.com/chatsports to make the switch like I did. Plans as low as $15 a month. You can even use it as a mobile hotspot if needed. It's fantastic. You will not regret making the change. mintmobile.com/chatsports. Not much buzz around Sean McEwen, but maybe there should be. I would almost wonder if he is slowly, quietly emerging as the leader to be tight end 2 for this team. He made a couple of nice plays in terms of the day 1 of training camp. Nice little yard after catch completion from Dak Prescott. He did not play much last year, and there's been little bit of buzz that maybe Jake Ferguson needs a little bit more time to grow and develop his body as a 4th-round rookie. That's not uncommon to hear from that perspective. I do worry about the tight end 2 room overall. Jake Ferguson, 4th pick, who I like long-term, but he might need time. Jeremy Sprinkle, Peyton Hendershot, Ian Bunting. You need Dalton Schultz healthy, but maybe McEwen can emerge or somebody else emerges at that backup tight end position. That'd be a pretty good outcome, I think, for the Dallas Cowboys from that standpoint. So hopefully good on McEwen. We'll stick on the offense here and move over to the wide receiver grouping, namely James Washington and Jalen Tolbert. First Washington, then we'll talk more about Tolbert. Washington has had a bit of, an up and down performance so far. Anthony Brown's broken up some nice plays against him. More on Brown coming up in a second, by the way. Washington suffer a shoulder injury on day 1, but he was fine. Day 2, was back out there, didn't miss anything. I don't know if the chemistry is quite there yet between Dak and Washington. Remember, James did miss minicamp OTAs due to a foot injury. That's a red flag there. They almost had a deep ball connection on day 1. And I don't think he tracked it all that well and just kind of got off the line and missed it ever so slightly. Now, as for Tolbert, so far so good. I would be shocked, and it's probably a bad outcome, if he is not starting for you from that standpoint in terms of at least being wide receiver 3, given the fact that Michael Gallup is going to miss time early on for the Cowboys this year. You're banking on those two making a big impact since you've got zero provenness behind those guys on your roster. Now, camp is well underway, and we're going to keep you guys covered with everything going on around the Dallas Cowboys, so do not miss out. Hit that big red button and subscribe for more Cowboys coverage every single day right here on the Cowboys Report. If I had to give out a early MVP of camp, it would be Anthony Brown. Maybe Micah Parsons. But we'll give it to Brown since that's more fun and different. Brown had to play the day on day 1. They've done a lot of 2-minute drill stuff early, part of their acclimation process. They're taking it slow early to avoid injuries, which I think is smart. Brown had a pick 6. He jumped a comeback route on Tolbert, broke up a few other plays. Browns looked really good, and I know that not everybody likes Anthony Brown. He actually played really well last year. Outside of 2 games, when Antonio Brown, Mr. Big Chest, Mr. Big Tantrum, cooked him in week 1, which, it's Antonio Brown. I get it. And then against the Raiders, when the underthrow the route by 15 yards play worked wonders for Anthony Brown, or for the Raiders against Brown, which those were BS calls. Brown played well. Last year of his deal, you're all going to feel weird, conflicted if he balls out and then gets you a 3rd-round comp pick or a 4th-round comp pick. So be honest with me. This is a change in tune as to how he felt this time last year. But do you like Anthony Brown as cornerback 2? Right now, he is holding off Kelvin Joseph. Y for yes, N for no. I'm typing in Y for yes, but I want to hear from you in the comment section. I'll just make quick note of this because I feel like people would freak out if I didn't mention the quarterback. He's fine. He looks good. The arm strength's good. No calf, no shoulder, knock on wood. Best shape of life for Dak Prescott continues to be the case. Brown made some nice plays. Defense is winning overall, but no concerns from Dak. Positive note now, then a negative one potentially. Josh Ball impressed on day 1, a player who, you know my thoughts on him, but I believe in giving credit where it's due. Ball did look pretty good on day 1. The report from Bobby Belt was that he had one of his best practices ever on day 1 of training camp, which is a big deal since he allegedly didn't have the best practice performances and weight room efforts when he spent the entire year on IR. So good step forward for Ball. Potential red flag worth monitoring. Matt Waletzko, I don't think he returned, by the way, but he did leave practice today. He went to the locker room, or I should say on Thursday, excuse me. He did leave practice on Thursday with some issue undisclosed. I will make note that he had his right knee lightly wrapped, and that might have been an issue on Wednesday's practice too. So keep an eye on Waletzko, but he did leave practice day 2 Thursday with some undisclosed knee injury that could be a red flag for the Cowboys since he was impressing early on. One last note, fingers crossed, hopefully finally, more Tony Pollard. The Cowboys continue to utilize more Pollard, right? This is a player who the Cowboys have used him in the slot receiver, and I'm going to call it 20 personnel, 21 personnel, where you have Zeke and Pollard out there on the field. The Cowboys should utilize Pollard as what he is, one of their 5, if not 4, best playmakers on offense. I am hopeful and optimistic of a snap count and touches increase this year for Pollard, which, by the way, could result in fewer kick returns. Maybe you let KaVontae Turpin handle that role if he ends up making the team. If you made it to the end of today's video, you guys are a real one, and I appreciate it. Show me that you did by typing in DC4L in the comments section, and we'll show you guys some love for being a real one later on. All right, before we get to Rumble, the true question of the day. Who will win the upcoming Chat Sports Open golf match? Myself, you can type in TD, or executive producer Brett Scott. You can type in BS. Now, Brett, I believe you are the betting favorite right now.
I'm not actually sure how that's possible.
Well, you're the defending champion, and you've told me about the last 2 times you played, and for a guy who plays like 3 times a year max.
I didn't play that well last time I played.
Well, but you didn't have your clubs.
Yeah, they were close enough.
Okay, you can.
I hit some bad shots.
Yeah, I mean.
And I couldn't putt.
Well, that's always the tough part.
Yeah.
I forgot how to putt.
For me, it's about whether or not I've played the course before and if I can figure out the course fast enough.
That's fair. It's not. We're playing Keaton Park, for those of you in Dallas. I don't think it's going to be that
There's not
that
enough
challenging
BSs
for
in
you.
the chat.
There's definitely not enough BSs. They're definitely just
We have not figured
Homer
out
picks.
we have not figured out the bets yet.
No. Well, I messaged you some.
Yeah, true.
I got some.
But we haven't figured it out.
some
Chase,
various
what do you
games.
think?
What?
Check out this weigh-in.
Yeah, this is the weigh-in.
Chase Sr. going to weigh in. You can get on screen if you want for a second.
Going with my teammate, bro.
Smart man. I will say, I think the team challenge, you guys are the betting favorite.
I don't know. I didn't mean.
It's
it was
fairly
a
even.
draft.
It was a draft. Well, Trey says he's playing, so we're doing the 3-man.
It was still pretty close to a draft.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I hope I win. That'd be nice. That'd be nice to have the win. I'll say.
You want to win? Okay, we'd have to get the third match in there.
Last time out, I shot the last 18 out. I did shoot a 74, which is my low.
Yeah, I know exactly. You're playing hot right now.
And I was annoyed with myself because
you used it up.
That I used it up, and I was PO'd because I drove a par 4 green and 3-putted.
Oh,
and the third putt was just like all nerves, no confidence. It barely hit the hole from 4 feet.
You guys, I'm just going to I'm going to talk mad trash and just try and be in Tom's head. Only problem is I'm not in the same group as him, so I can't really do it.
I mean, you'll be in front of me, so you can just like stand over the green.
Yeah.
Stand over the green.
Stare you down.
Because the greens are where I have my issues right now. Like I forgot how to putt.
Got super here. Tom.
74 with 35 putts.
16 more dollars to 100 make Tom do more shots.
Corey wants to know
not
why.
Much time left.
Corey says, "Why are you not in Oxnard? You should be there."
Why?
Well, simple. I can't do the show like we want to do it if I'm in Oxnard. Like it's just not going to be the same way. It'd be kind of janky, to be honest. Can't do the other things I do here at Chat Sports. So Oxnard's cool and all. I would rather be here. That way we can do the live shows for you guys and still get you all the same information. So, Corey, I appreciate it, but it wouldn't quite be the same show if I were out there. Now, we're going to go to After Hours here. Rumble exclusively live on that side. I see Sack 77's over there already. Thank you, my friend. Cowboys Report After Hours coming up here in a little bit. We're going to end the Facebook and the YouTube live stream. Get over there. It's in the live chat, the link, rumble.com/Cowboys TV. Some shout-outs, by the way, from that previous question. As my boy MG's back and alive. Good, I was always worried about MG. I see a lot. You're right, but there were a lot of TDs in there. My keypad's all sticky because you spilled the shot. Dusty Rhodes says TD. And, yeah, it is. Dusty Rhodes says TD. TDT Juice says TD. Austin says TD. There are some BSs, though.
Yeah, Christopher Bishop's a real one.
There you go.
Orion Files is a real one. ASAP Kings, Andrew Edwards. That's it, though.
Yeah, that's
to go back to the beginning of the show and see if we had any, too. But.
Cowboy Fan for Life says TD. Maybe I'll make a community post, the scores of everything, or put that on the on the Chat Sports
we should take a
page.
picture and put it
up. We'll do that. A couple DC for Life's coming, or DC for L's coming in, too, from Leroy Pearson Jr., Dusty Rhodes, Duncan Hallman, Vladimir, Zeno, Luis. I'll tell you what, Dusty, like 90% of the time, is always first. He's always the first one to comment, and he comments first, by the way, as well. I see Bailey Gordon, Mojo the Only, Chris Romero, Andrew Edwards as well. So appreciate you guys tuning in, voting on all of our different polls. We are going to end the YouTube and Facebook streams here momentarily, and we're going to go live exclusively on Rumble. So make sure you guys get over there so you can tune in for our After Hours segment. I already see Sack 77, DJ Bigley, Dusty Rhodes, and Zeno Sayan, who has changed his name on Rumble to Zeno Sayan Jeremy 1. I assume in honor of Jeremy Chugg, which I find quite humorous on that standpoint there. So, all right, we're going to quit YouTube. We're going to quit Facebook. We'll see you guys later as we go exclusively live on Rumble for Cowboys Report.